All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Outspoken. It's funny to be up here and leading this discussion today because for those of you who do know me, you may find it a little hard to believe, but according to my mother, I was an extremely shy child. If a stranger so much as looked at me, much less tried to talk to me, I would hide behind her pant leg and not come out until they went away. Then, of course, as my mother continues to tell the story, as she likes to say, somewhere around 4th grade, Laura found her mouth. And the world was never the same. So, what is it about finding your voice? And as I started to find mine, being the good Jersey Italian that I am, I managed to unintentionally fulfill an awful lot of negative stereotypes along the way. I was loud, I was brash. It was not just being audible. Being heard is the means to the end. Being heard is about being understood, having people listen. It's about having more influence and getting better results. But of course, that's easier said than done for many of us, right? Because we can be our own worst enemy. Maybe you're on the end of the spectrum where you have ideas and you want to share them, but before you allow yourself to do that, your brain has to go into that downward death spiral of what-if questions, right? What if I make a mistake? What if I forget what I want to say? What if they think it's stupid? What if I ask a question and they think I should already know the answer? What if they ask me a question and I can't answer it? On and on. And then by the time we're done weighing all these pros and cons, the moment has passed, the meeting has ended, and we're sort of left at best with the recourse of maybe following up with an email to the group later on, or maybe sticking our head in somebody's office for a one-on-one afterward. But ultimately, nobody who was present at that meeting has an image of us as being valuable contributors to the discussion. It's one thing to be the brains behind the operation, but at some point, if you're going to lead, you need to be able to step up and be the face and the voice in front of it. Maybe you're on the other side of the spectrum. If you're someone who at any given moment has 12,000 ideas in your mind all at the same time, and they're all important, and you know that if you don't have a chance to get them out right now, you're going to forget something, and then they won't understand, so when it's your turn to talk, you open mouth and turn on fire hose, and douse the audience with all of your ideas in this flood of information that just makes them a little bit confused at best, and most likely also gets you annoyed because somebody inevitably cuts you off. Someone interrupts, whether it's a man or a woman. This is what tends to happen. So as leaders, we need to be able to take all that information and distill it down into the most critical, most important, most relevant points in order for them to hear the meaning and the value of what we're saying, not just the words. And that ability to be heard is really crucial in trying to establish our leadership image. Because that's what leadership really is. It's an image, regardless of what your role or title is. And part of that image is about what is often you're seeing categories that include things like communication skills and gravitas. Well, that's great, but I actually have a problem with those classifications because I don't get how you can have gravitas be separate from communication skills. How do you convey one without the other? I mean, what is gravitas? If you were to break it down, excuse me, the gravitas includes things like, number one, do you have the technical expertise, knowledge? Sure, but in order, the key is the ability to convey that expertise to others in a way that they can get it no matter what their background is, no matter how much expertise they have, so that they not only recognize you as someone who they need to have on their team, but they can recognize you as the person who should be leading it. Gravitas also includes things like, can you speak truth to power and show grace under fire? What do those things mean? Okay, to be able to speak up, to manage up, to speak truth to power, you have to be able to sound confident, to stand your ground, to sound convicted in your beliefs, in your ideas. And then when those, so that's in your voice and your content, and then of course when you get that pushback, which inevitably comes, no matter what role you're in, you don't crumble under the pressure. You don't get defensive, we don't get too emotional, we don't sound shrill, we don't fall to pieces in the moment. That's also the ability, yes, to hear those differences of opinions, to receive them, but then ultimately to make your own decisions, stand your ground, own them, and take responsibility for them. Emotional intelligence is also a big part of executive presence, being seen as a leader, being heard as a leader. But emotional intelligence is about being able to read a room, read an audience, whether it's one person or 1,000 people, and help them understand what it is that you're trying to convey by being able to adjust the way that you say it, whether it's the content or the delivery. But I think the challenge, or the first step to overcoming that challenge, is the need to redefine authenticity itself. Because we make a mistake. Authenticity is not synonymous with comfort. Authenticity is not necessarily synonymous with comfort. Anytime you learn something new, there's a learning curve. And by definition, a learning curve means stepping out of your comfort zone. The process is authentic. The desire to get good at and be effective in those contexts is authentic. And with time and practice, that will become second nature and feel more natural and less authentic. But we have to embrace the entire process in order to be influential with wider audiences, allowing our voices to expand that way. We limit ourselves every time we find ourselves uttering internally or externally, well, that's not me. Because what that means is we've already put pre-established limitations on ourselves and on others. The idea that, well, that's your box, this is my box. My box will never expand, my sphere of influence will never expand because my communication repertoire isn't willing to expand in that direction. But the ability to style shift in the way that we speak and how we use our voices is known as code switching. And it's a little bit more serious, a little bit deeper, a little bit more focused. But I have a 3-year-old at home. I don't talk to him like this for one very important reason. He would stop playing with me. When I'm playing with him, my voice is higher and sing-songy. I'm goofy. I'm silly. I don't use words like executive presence and gravitas. He would run away. But it's not that this is the authentic me and that's the fake me or vice versa. It's not that in one of these contexts I'm being myself and in the other one I'm acting or faking it somehow. They're both 100% authentically me. I just understand that with different audiences, you'll need to see different sides of me to be able to hear what I need you to hear in the moment. And now, mind you, until 3 years ago, I didn't have that kid, and I didn't have that fully fledged mommy voice either. But it's something that I learned, and it's something that I embraced, and it's something where it eventually became an authentic part of my vocal repertoire. And that's what I want to encourage you all to do as well. Learn to expand that repertoire. Learn to embrace a little bit of that stepping out of the comfort zone in order to expand that identity and expand that sphere of influence that you have. Your ability to use your voice effectively in greater and greater arenas. So how can we learn to do that? To use our voices so that people will see all the beautiful colors of our vocal spectrum in a way that's going to get us heard, get us influenced, and get us the results that we want. So that people will see all the beautiful colors of our vocal spectrum in a way that's going to get us heard, get us influenced, and get us the results that we want.